Hello, hello. This is Kevin with the State Media House. I want to make a quick training on an issue I've been seeing a lot with different realtors and real estate brokers, where they're trying to do this divide and conquer strategy with their outreach and with their prospecting, and it's not really something that works. So I'm going to dive into today how you can realize if you have that problem and check that out, and how you can actually fix that in your business, because this is potentially something that's costing you hundreds of thousands of dollars every year in lost revenue and thousands in just lost ad spend or lost marketing that you're wasting because it's used ineffectively, it's not used the right way. So first, let's get into what actually is divide and conquer. So divide and conquer is when you're trying to spread your resources over multiple platforms. You're trying to reach out on every site you can. You're on Zillow, you're on Homebuyer, you're on Google Ads, you're on Facebook Ads, you're on Twitter, you're on Craigslist, every place under the sun, which sounds great because you think everyone is going to see your stuff. The other thing is you're using too many outreach methods. You're cold calling, you're emailing, you're texting, you're doing SMS blasts, you're doing direct mail, and you're talking to too many people. Now, a couple of you might say, well, isn't talking to as many people as possible the idea? Well, yes and no, because talking to the wrong people isn't worth your time. It's not something you should be focused on, because you want to eliminate talking to the wrong people as much as you can every week, because that home presentation, that mortgage application, any of that, or any home tour that you're showing to someone who isn't a qualified prospect, who isn't interested in that property, he's a looky-loo. He likes it, he thinks he's good, he likes the location, he likes everything, but he's not going to buy. He's just wasting your time. And that's something you got to keep in mind, especially when you start to scale and you're getting so many requests and so many requests, you have to filter that out. And that goes into the fifth point, which is talking to anyone and everybody, which is you don't want to be talking to just anyone. You want to be able to filter out, like, is this guy actually the type of buyer who's looking for a home in my range? So if you're the type of person who sells listings around 500 to 1 million, you're not going to be talking to the guy who works at McDonald's and makes 7 an hour. And that's just a waste of your time. Or the person who's in a completely different state, but he's not even interested in working in that state, or he doesn't want to move there, doesn't want to live there. So there's no point in you talking to them. It might sound a bit cold, but you don't want to waste your time on these people, especially if you have other people who you could be talking to are actually your ideal client. The other issue with trying to divide and conquer over all of these platforms is that you never really hit mastery of it. Like, you're not consistently getting deals. You might get a deal or two out of every single one, but you're not really able to scale that. You're not really like sure of why that's working. So that's another thing to keep in mind. So here's a solution. Pick one platform or one outreach method. If you're going to do cold calling, double down on cold calling. If you're going to do direct mail, figure out how to set up a proper direct mail campaign. It's actually something we teach our clients if that's something they're interested in and looking to figure out how to optimize. Where, how do you set up a proper direct mail campaign? How do you set up SMS follow-up? When do you use, like, all of these different methods? They look shiny, they look great and amazing, but you have to pick one. Stick to one, pick to one, optimize it all, and figure out how that figures out for your perfect client. So that gets into the second point, which is master that platform so you're able to consistently get deals out of it before moving on to another. So before you switch from something like Facebook or switch from something like Google or Craigslist or any of that, get a couple deals out of that first, figure out how to optimize it, and then once you're at maybe 3 to 5 deals a month out of that specific platform, then move on to another one. Since now you have a foundation to go off of. The other thing is niche down to know the ins and outs of your target market. So if you work with investment properties, figure out everything you need to know about the ideal investment property buyer in your area, in your price range, in the types of listings you deal with. You want to get down to, what is this guy having for lunch? What are his stresses? What are his goals? What are his ideas? What are his beliefs? Everything. Because that way you're able to speak their language and it's an easier close. And that gets into the fourth point, which is be more rigorous in your prospecting. Because although some guy, like, let's say you don't work with investment properties and you work with residential around 750,000 to 1.5 million, sometimes 2 million. Well, the investment property person, as great as he was for an investment property, he isn't the type of buyer for a more expensive home, a more expensive condominium. That's that's a completely different buyer profile. It's a completely different type of person with their own sets of beliefs and ideas, which means that what you got to do in that case is you need to learn everything all over again. And that affects your messaging, that affects your outreach, that affects how you communicate to them. So that's something to keep in mind when you're more rigorous with your prospecting. Also, this includes filtering out people early on who you know aren't worth your time. Something we do at our company is 2 calls before they ever become clients, because first call is to figure out whether or not they can help, that it's someone we can actually help out or someone's a good fit. We have tons of people coming in who they might be running something like e-commerce, or they're in a completely different market and they're like, hey, can you help us out? And it's like, we're not that type of person. We refer them to someone else. And that's something you have to keep in mind as well. Obviously, you might think, oh man, we're losing out business, but in the long run, it's so much better because you become the go-to person for investment properties. You become the go-to person in your area for condominiums, or the go-to person for luxury homes. So that's something to keep in mind as well. That's why I got a picture of a guy hunting, because he's laser focused on his target. He's not trying to hunt and fish and catch a bird at the same time. He's picking on one specific animal and one specific thing to hunt down. So if you have any questions about this training, and if you're worried or concerned on like, how can I implement this? How can I figure out how to narrow down my focus and pick one platform? Then you can reach out to me at this phone number. You can reach out to me at kevin@estatemediahouse.com. Or if you're looking to scale, you're at around 5 deals a month, 5 to 8 deals a month, and you're looking to grow past that, and you have the capacity to take on more people, then let me know and book a call at estatemediahouse.com, and we'll get you set up and running. That way you're able to get more deals consistently, more opportunity volume in order to increase your overall yearly revenue. And if you're interested in what's even opportunity volume, there's a training for that within this group too. Another thing I actually wanted to go over is when you're spreading yourself thin, that's also spreading yourself thin in terms of your marketing budget. If you're spending, let's say your budget is $5,000 a month in ads, and you're using that over 5 different platforms, you're not spending enough on that platform to even get a substantial amount of data, which ends up causing your cycle to your feedback loop to learn and adjust and tailor everything to your market to be even longer than it should be, compared to if you dropped 5,000 a month on specifically Craigslist, or 5,000 specifically on direct mail, specifically on Facebook. Then you're able to get a way faster feedback loop because you have a lot more data to play around with and to revise and check and tailor to your market. And that's it for this training. Let me know if you have any questions. The contact information is here, and have a good one, guys.